indulge you to get across social media platforms, especially YouTube. Subscribe, get onto the Facebook page wall too. Give us a like, give us a following, and let the conversation begin. Now, we're looking at the state of the nation, right? State of the nation, state of the nation. How is Nigeria perceived internationally? I mean, with all of the shortcomings, with all of the successes, with all of the failures, with all of the political ancestry that's going on in the country, the godfatherism, the favoritism, I mean, you name it.
Nepotism?
All the isms is going on in Nigeria today. Then when we look at this and we juxtapose our progress, of course, which quite a number of persons have come up to saying that we're making progress and all of that, especially economically and all of that. How are we perceived internationally? I mean, just the recent move by Mr. President, in River State, some have said this has further eroded us, especially in the way that we are perceived outside the shores of Nigeria. And then it makes us also wonder if this is not going to snowball into our is it a green passport now? Because if this is not going to deteriorate, the efficacy, the little efficacy that is left of our green passports as Nigerians, such that wherever you went to, there's always a scare when you produce a green passport. But then conversations are still going on where former President Goodluck Jonathan has expressed concerns about the state of Nigeria's governance and judiciary. And now he has gone on to further warn that their weaknesses is hurting the country's future. And if you also recall, some time ago, family members, you as well as others, have also said that, look, the last hope that we will ever have for the common man would be the judiciary. If the judiciary collapses, aren't we just done for? But then again, Jonathan has emphasized that compromised judiciary and poor governance are major turnoffs for investors, ultimately damaging Nigeria's global reputation. Almost.
Right. And quite frankly, the comments made by the former President Goodluck Jonathan is somewhat coming on the heels of the political crisis rocking River State at the moment. Right. I mean, last week was quite an eventful week, and some Nigerians had actually expressed optimism that with the new twist, where the governor was suspended, the deputy suspended, lawmakers suspended, and we have an administrator who already took the oath of office. Right. People were optimistic that his presence in the state would bring to an end the unending, crisis rocking the state. But again, things have already taken another dimension, and we understand that there was an explosion over the weekend in River State. But just to discuss this very critically, we have a PhD professor of political institutions and comparative politics, Yahaya Tanko Baba. He joins us live via telephone this morning. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us, Prof.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Now, we're looking at a very topical issue that borders on Nigeria's integrity and how the country has been perceived internationally in the face of, recent political crisis in the country. Now, Nigeria's international perception is a very complex, issue with various factors influencing how the country is viewed globally. And the former President Goodluck Jonathan's statements that he made over the weekend, concerning the country's weak governance and judiciary and how it's actually hurt or even hurting the future of our dear nation, Nigeria, brings to mind conversations around how best our institutions can be strengthened. I mean, when I say last week was an eventful week, I probably made a mistake. I should say the month of March has been an eventful month, because you take a lead from what happened in the Senate,
right,
and how the person directly involved, who has now been suspended as well, Senator Natasha Akpoti, even took the issue to the IPU and somewhat putting Nigeria in a spot that is maybe not too good, right? And then you now look at a suspension or the state of emergency declared in Rivers State. But I'm very sure that you've been keeping tabs on all of these. Prof, what was your initial reaction, and how best would you put all your thought together, reacting to the face-off in the Senate and also what happened in Rivers State most recently?
Well, these two events undoubtedly show signs of grave instability in the country. And, of course, these issues have actually raised concerns about Nigeria's image and the integrity of the political and judicial system, that exists in the country. The issue of the fracas in the Senate and the suspension of Natasha, the accusation, the grave accusations she made against the leadership of the Senate, the poor handling of the matter by the Senate, and of course the total lack of confidence in the internal frameworks that exist, internal mechanisms of resolving dispute within the Senate and even within the Nigeria's judicial and political system, had actually influenced one of the actors, Natasha Apoti, to actually, take the matter to the IPU, the International Parliamentary Union, which through some in some quarters is an attempt to actually smear the image of the country, to tarnish the image of the country. But whether or not Natasha has gone to the IPU, the country's image is already on the line, because this event that has actually transpired in the Senate, the full glare of the international community. You never can tell how fast this news such as this can actually spread because of the sophistication of the information and communication technology. So, to say that the leadership of the Senate is a sitting senator, duly elected by constituents, serving the people and representing a constituency, is sexually harassed by the leadership of the Senate, even if these allegations are not substantive in nature. This mere accusation, speaks volumes about the nature of the political system and the fragile and the marginal, nature of groups, of minority groups such as women. So when you talk about harassment, you're talking about harassment on the streets, you're talking about harassment in the workplaces, you're talking about harassment in schools, and so on and so forth. You never can tell that sexual harassment can actually occur at this highest level of the country's political system. And then, of course, the total lack of confidence in the Nigerian judicial system is also another dimension to understanding the gravity of the crisis the Nigerian state and the Nigerian political system is on the way. Now, when you talk about the Natasha issue and the case against the Senate President and, of course, the trip in the iceberg, what the unfolding events in the River State, I know we all are living witnesses to what has been happening since the inauguration of government in River State. The crisis between the former governor himself, Nelson Wike, and currently the Minister of Finance and Territory, and the governor who was, just suspended in a few days. What we have seen in terms of defection, in terms of resignations of cabinet members, in terms of defection of members of the State House Assembly from PDP to APC, and the demolition of the State House of Assembly, the sitting by the 3-member House of Assembly approved the budget, the court cases that actually failed, up to the point when the Supreme Court made that the judgment, and the subsequent reaction of the governor, and then the thunderous reaction of the president, leading to the suspension of the declaration of the emergency rule in River State and the suspension of all elected officials that involved the governor, the deputy governor, and the members of the House of Assembly, and of course the appointment of administrator. And what failed? The drama that actually unfolded in the National Assembly, in both the Senate and House of Representatives, in the votes that actually led to the endorsement, the purported endorsement of the presidential request to actually approve, the suspension or the declaration of state of emergency. All of these events, actually spelling doom about the country's image, the country's integrity, and the country's stability. And indeed, the country's institutions, particularly judicial and political institutions, to peacefully resolve conflict. And these are signs that crises such as this can actually lead to an explosive, a crisis that may actually affect the stability of the country as a whole.
Yeah, so Prof, I'm glad that you mentioned all of these. I mean, you've iterated and you've itemized. You've also touched on quite a number of aspects. But then there is some strong statement that came from the former president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, who expressed, while expressing the nation's governance and judiciary. Do you think this might just be a litmus test for the Nigerians, especially the effective and international? This could be a litmus test.
Not test indeed. This is done by the former president. It's a brave one. The conservative year. When we follow very monitor how you respond to the crisis in the state, and also other political crises. It really much to be concerned. A judiciary that is intimately connected to the political system, that is doing the digging of establishment and is implementing the script of the political establishment, system. And this shows that, that other, contending actors, in any judicial contention, seems to have hope of getting just fairness, the way in which the judiciary issues the legal nature. Who won the confidence and trust of the people. Some make statements, and those statements will eventually become part of the division of the judiciary. Not only the judiciary who the other great courts, but most worrying part of it is that the Supreme Court seems to actually be so integrated into the arm of government, so that we are beginning to conclude that an individual who is actually intimately connected to the president dictates what is happening in terms of conflict resolution mechanisms, and that are being handled by the judiciary. We have seen lots of sorts of unethical conduct on the part of the judiciary. Remember, about a few months ago, we've seen the Minister of Capital Territory, involved in a conflict over land with one of the biggest multinational corporations in the country, and taking over that land, whether you call it land grab or whatever it is. And we've seen the case already in the court. But the minister went ahead ahead to institute a work in that very particular piece of land. And in attendance in that ceremony was the Chief Judge of the Federation. It's quite unbecoming. And this is really sad. So the former president was just brave enough to call spade a spade, and to sound a warning that this country is sitting on a ticking time bomb in terms of the integrity of judiciary, which ought to be the last hope of the common man.
All right, Prof. Not just the former President Goodluck Jonathan, we've seen other elder statesmen, come out to make very strong comment as far as our governance system is concerned. But to see and know that we have, experienced over 20 years of uninterrupted democracy, and on the flip side, the governance system is somewhat weak. The judiciary, maybe the institution is not strong enough, and we need some sort of reforms to strengthen it even further. It leaves us with a question whether or not we're indeed ripe for democracy in this part of the world, despite the number of decades that we have been practicing democracy. Maybe we've not been practicing it in its true form, Prof.
Yeah, I think these concerns have always been raised, and the literature is full of this very particular, viewpoint, whether or not the African, culture and the African scenario, political context. Democracy fits the African context, because the rule of the strong man seems to be the most commonly, and widely cherished system, even by the people. And people seems to have this very particular opinion that once somebody holds executive power, then he should call the shots. And then what we are seeing today with this present crisis in the Nigerian state is a reversal of what has been achieved in the last 20 years. We have seen instances where the judiciary has actually came out strong, on matters that affect the executive or the legislature have made far-reaching judicial business. Under a crisis like this, even tougher than this, when the president alone has been dictated as to what the political establishment wants in terms of outcomes. And what we have seen in River State, a clear testimony is that fairness right. We needed to also change those who in the judicial system, in variable provision, justices of the Supreme Court into the fabrics of the system, beginning from election, the way that they have passed, who met the judicial of federal tribunal, how they are led, and so on and so forth. The political class splash huge amount on those who are winning or they are losing. It has become, really a matter of give and take. Gradually has crept into not only the lower level of the court system, but even the apex court, seems to. So it's a trembling and concerning situation for Nigerian democracy. And this is a sign that Nigerian democracy will actually is actually ill, and it has shown signs of not only deteriorating, but it has shown signs that it can actually, the people can lose democracy.
So, Prof, is this to also mean that the democracy that we've gained for the past 20 years was a mistake? Is it a mistake? Hello, Prof, are you there?
Yes.
Hello? Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
All right, very well. Well, with all of these very trembling and scary, analogy that you've put out there, is it safe to say that the democracy that we're practicing, that we are probably putting too much pressure on it, and we're expecting so much from it, as others are also saying that probably the democracy that we have gained was just a huge mistake. Do you share in that thought?
No, it's not just straightforward to say it's a mistake. It's not, because we do not seem to believe in the framework of democracy. Because the world over, it is the preferred framework of governance because of its promise. But we have not had the opportunity to allow the framework.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
The framework to flow.
So where are we getting it wrong? Where are we getting it wrong then?
Institutions. Sorry.
Okay, Prof, we'll just give you some time out so you can just take maybe a glass of water, and then we'll get back with you, if that's okay.
Yeah, I think the institutions are not built.
Oh.
And that even when they exist around personalities.
Oh, okay.
But institutions are made to exist and flow and function and flourish, regardless of the human elements that are involved in this. Of course, the human elements are part of the institutions, but the institutional memory, the memory of the structures that actually make up the institutions, are even more important than the human elements. Okay. But in the context of what is happening today, the institutions have been taken hostage by the human element. The personalities have not taken over the institutions and dictate the rules of the institutions, and now change the rules at will, and then manipulate the institutions to suit interests that are exclusive to those that are actually opportuned and trusted with political authority and political power. And that is the danger, of democracies that are actually not ingrained, democracies that are not well, sustained. So, in sustainable democratic practice, you don't care who occupies an office. What you care about is the strength of the institutions, and the institutions to actually, on its own, dictate and determine what actually happens in the system. So, like the River State crisis or the crisis in the Senate, it's a very simple matter. Accusation has been made. You refer those accusations internally, to the Committee of Ethics, Privileges, and you wait until the best thing to do is even for the Senate President to resign and step aside until the investigation is concluded, and for the committee to give fair hearing to both parties and start investigation. Call the two parties, listen to them, give everyone fair hearing, come up with its own reports and report to the Senate, and then the Senate will debate about this. And from there, you can. It's a criminal offense. It's beyond the Senate, and legal action can be taken.
No, Prof, let me come in there. Have we not seen the River State crisis, where the number one citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria had called the two parties, and spoken to them as a father, as a daddy, as a president, and yet none of them took heed, and it led to a state of emergency. So can we totally fault the president in declaring a state of emergency in River State, or are we faulting the president for asking the 27 lawmakers, as well as the governor, to be suspended, to step aside for just a little bit. Whilst
yeah, I think the major problem is that the president himself is a party to the crisis, and he has actually assumed the position of either beneficiary or a loser in the crisis.
In what way, Prof?
So, in the way that the party to one party to the crisis, which is a serving minister in his own cabinet, if he suspends the governor, for instance, as one who is unable to maintain peace and order, and there are two parties, and the minister is just you don't need to go to the Senate to suspend the minister, meaning that he has declared his support to the party of the minister, and clearly suggests that the governor in the state is actually at fault in this particular dispute and feud between the two parties. Calling them to discuss, I just, it's just a step. I mean, there are some of the steps that are taken to convince the people ahead of what he wanted to do ever since. That is the declaration of state of emergency and the removal of the governor. Remember, the members of the House of Assembly had already defected to his own party, APC. So it's already a party to the crisis. And the step and the decision he has taken are decisions and steps that will eventually benefit him, benefit his party, and benefit his strong ally in the crisis, which is the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nelson Wike. And it will actually undermine the interests of the opposition party, the biggest of the opposition party in the state, the People's Democratic Party, and the governor who refused to heed to the agreement that only God knows.
Okay.
How on earth anybody can imagine that agreement such as this, given my elsewhere governor, this number of members of the Legal Council, giving this amount of money, giving control over local government, giving this and that. It's so demeaning of a system like this.
All right, Prof. TK, you are a professor of political institution and comparative politics, and you're one that is actually well traveled. Is it possible for you to help us get sense of what is obtainable in other climes and what international best practices are there for Nigeria to adopt going forward?
Well, I think it's a very simple thing. When institutions are built, institutions run a system. Systems are run by institutions. And then, of course, whatever crisis that actually, no country is immune to crisis. Remember, even the biggest, not the biggest, what I can say, the American democracy, which is the model that virtually most countries in the world owe to their
federalism.
Yeah. Remember when Trump lost election, remember the desecration of the Congress and so on and so forth. He had wanted to stay in power and perpetuate himself. He has actually rejected the results, and he called the military to actually take over in the midst of that crisis. But the military were so professional and declared that their loyalty is to the American state, not to the government, not to the president.
To the people.
But this is what institutions need to do, to actually play their own role in accordance with the existing rules, regulations, and laws. And when an institution is autonomous and independent, it needs to actually, assert its own autonomy and its own independence and act, independent of any external influence, so to say. But when you seek for favors, from other quarters, those favors you seek will come back to hurt you, to erode your autonomy and independence. So even in other African countries where democracy is still being nurtured, you hardly can see this grave, manipulations that are happening in the biggest democracy, in Africa. So the bottom line is nothing but for institutions to run in accordance with the existing rules and regulations, and in accordance with the norms, in accordance with so that personalities do not seem to make a difference, in how institutions actually run. So this is the biggest difference. So just like I told you, it makes a difference from one president to another president. It shouldn't be. Obasanjo respected the verdicts of the Supreme Court, and he stated Vice President Atiku Abubakar to remain as the Vice President even when he had already fired him. We have seen different court cases on the Yar'Adua where he watched, his government, his party losing, a substantial part of the seat. It's won at state level. But, so the personalities should not be seen to be in the forefront in deciding and resolving crisis. The institution should do.
All right, Professor, we'll just have you hold your thoughts and hear from the listener out there. We definitely would revert to you to make your final submissions on the show. Well, all right. We've been speaking with a PhD professor of political institutions and comparative politics. Even as we tinker with the topic, state of the nation and how Nigeria is perceived internationally. The studio lines to call at this point in time, dear listener, the lines are 0907-353-0044 or 0908-766-8888. Send a voice note or a message to the WhatsApp portal number on 0909-705-4450. And please, when you call in to share your thoughts, stay civil, avoid the use of vulgar language. All right. And
of course, also do well to keep to time. In fact, less than a minute we can afford at this point in time, if possible.
Good morning.
Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
My name is Comrade Salisu on the line.
Oh, Comrade Salisu, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Suleja.
From Suleja. Right. Comrade, just go straight to the point. Let's have your thoughts.
Thank you. God bless you. You see, one of the things that, number one, the democracy we are practicing in the country is not the type of democracy we're supposed to practice. Because now, number one, American democracy is integrity democracy.
Okay.
And it was South Africa is a democracy. But our democracy is monetized democracy in the country Nigeria. Monetized democracy. Money is everything in this country. Now, when we will see what is going on now in River State, even in Nigeria Senate, is that they are fighting for their selfish interests. They are not carrying Nigeria first. And they don't know that image of Nigeria is going to be destroyed. When we are going to outside, when a president that become a senator or as a governor or as a president, the first thing is to know that anything happen to us in the outside country is a shame for all. Which is about to protect the integrity of our country.
Okay,
now, because of that, hello?
Yeah, for want of time, Comrade, we won't be able to go further. But we understand, we get your drift, we catch your drift. Appreciate that one from you. Taking this one now. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning to you. Yes, what's your name?
Good morning.
Yes, good morning to you.
Yes. Yeah, Felix from Lambert.
Oh, Felix.
Good to have you.
Talk to us, Felix. Straight to the point, please.
How we perceive in the international community.
Exactly.
It's very, very funny. The Yahoo thing and the politicians of this country are giving us a very bad image that internationally they see us as people who are not serious. When your leaders are not serious, they will not take you, the followers, as being serious.
Right.
Because they say the followers get the kind of leadership they deserve. When you have a situation where traditional rulers are bandits, kidnappers, and what have you, the same thing with the politicians. And like someone just said, cash and carry democracy. It's just all about money. So it's very, very unfortunate, the kind of government we are running and the kind of heartless with which you run the government
All right,
Okay,
fellas.
is very, very appalling. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very
Thank
much.
you so much.
Thank you. Let's see if we can take this one. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Uh,
Hello, good
good
morning,
morning.
please.
yeah, good morning.
Yes, please. What's your name and where you're calling from? Very quickly, please.
Well, my name is Michael Anaja.
All right, Michael, where are you calling from?
I'm calling you from Cairo.
All right, straight to the
Please
point,
go
Michael. 30 seconds, please.
Okay, well, the fact is, we are underdeveloped, let me use the word,
Okay.
and we are not even willing to get developed because of our selfish interests. We are
Okay.
actually, our leaders are actually looking at what they will gain, and sometimes we blame it on our leaders, and then we should also apportion some blames to we, the citizens as well.
Okay.
We are being governed by them, and then we accept whatever goes around is fine with us. So impunity everywhere, not just with the leaders, but that's the system. So that's what is obtainable.
All right, appreciate
You
that one
understand?
from
So
you.
divide and rule system. So it's what is accepted by the citizens is what the leaders will actually portray.
Wow,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
I look forward that Nigeria is going to get better someday.
We believe that too,
Thank
my
you.
brother. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Appreciate that one.
All right.
Well, we see a message right here from Samuel, all the way from Kuje. Samuel says, standing on existing protocols, we'll just go to it. Greetings to you, brother Udwak Daniel and Princess Adeze Omoife. Greetings to you too. Talking about the state of nation of a truth, Nigeria is a sorry state. I said this because our present-day leaders have turned the country into a laughingstock. The image of a country have been so bastardized that some Nigerians are ashamed of introducing themselves as Nigerians outside the country. The judiciary, that's supposed to be the hope of a common man, have been hijacked by political leaders. That the judges are now rubber stamp. No more right judgment by from the judges. It seems that justice in this country is now to the highest bidders. That is why they will always tell us to go to courts, because they know the judge will give justice in their favor. All right, says I rest my case. Thank you so much, though, Samuel, for that one. Appreciate you for adding your voice in this one right there. Tech and B, we see that you're trying to type in and all of that, but time would not allow for us, to take your message and all of that. Trying to see how we can connect with our guest already. All right, Prof.
A minute, if you can, Prof. Thank you so much for joining us again. We've heard from a number of Nigerians, and the truth is the time factor is really not having it, very, very well on us today on the show. But a number of Nigerians actually think that democracy that has been practiced right here in Nigeria is a monetized one. And also, to what you said earlier, whilst trying to compare what is obtainable in other climes, you think that the security forces, just like what happened during Trump's administration, right? His previous administration, I mean, you said they were loyal to the country and not to the president. Are you also insinuating that right here in Nigeria, institutions are not loyal to the country and maybe just loyal to a personality? In 1 minute.
Yes. Yeah, that is what has happened. Remember what had actually transpired during the election of the leaders of the National Assembly, but the Senate and the House of Representatives. How the president and the party actually, influenced directly the selection of the leaders. So the leaders are now loyal to the individuals that influence their selection. Okay. So when you talk also about the judiciary and you see how favors are extended to the members of the judicial system, those favors come directly from individuals that belongs to the establishment. So the psyche must change generally. More people must learn to actually recognize that there is a life after service, and there's a country, and there are generations that are yet unborn that will inherit a country that people will speak good of the people that actually build it, or will speak ill of the people that destroy it.
Right.
So we need to rise above this occasion.
Right. Appreciate you, Prof. Thank you so much for adding your voice in the discourse this morning. We're most appreciative of that. We look forward to a better Nigeria, and we are hoping that in the coming days, when we will have this conversation, it will be in a very positive light, hopefully.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, and to each and every one of us, thank you too for being a part of this. I mean, it's an abridged version this morning, but then tomorrow is yet another time. Promises to be a great time.
Absolutely.
Do well to keep your ears out, because indeed the morning breakfast show is not over until it's 12. Right? My name is Udwak Daniel, and I've got the delectable Adeze one here.
I'm more if a piece of summary. The views expressed on the show this morning were not influenced by the station. Good morning.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Hello, my dear people of Nigeria. Hello, my dear people of Africa. You want to